Hello everyone, this is part 4 of What If Deku Married Jirou, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
The students of Class 1A were gathered in ground beta for the no quirk combat exercise, all wearing gym clothes instead of their hero costumes. With his usual dead tired look, he produced an empty cardboard box that had folded pieces of paper in them. Last time you worked fighting against one opponent both with and without weapons. However, one-on-one does not necessarily happen in the line of work where fighting dirty is how you win. You will be separated into 5 groups of 4 by drawing lots. The rules were simple. Each group would perform 3 different sparring sessions, 2 on 2, 1 on 3, and Battle Royale. A buzzer would signal the beginning, 2-minute break between each session, and the end. Remember what you learned last class, the flexibility and limitations brought on by not using your quirks. Whatever sparring form you didn't do, you do after the break until you finish all of them. Carry on. With Aizawa groggily stuffing himself back into the sleeping bag, Ida immediately sprang into action, having everyone line up in twos to draw the lots. Izuku unfolded his lot and saw the letter D written on it. Ah, who's got D? Every guy in here, dude. Mineta piped up before receiving a swift kick in the backside from Jirou. Shut it, Grappist. It's too early for your innuendos. Anyways, we're together. She held up her lot with the letter D written on it and winked. Izuku's eyes darted to the left as he felt a blush creep up as events of late last night before the date change resurfaced. Oh, we're with you guys too. Uraraka and Ida walked towards them, with the former waving her hand and the latter holding his lot out as if it were a police badge. So, you wanna do 2 on 2 first? I got no problem with that. Jirou said with a shrug. Let's show the boys how we do. I guess, you're stuck with me then, Ida. Nonsense. It's an honor to have you on my side. While his confidence was much appreciated, Izuku's smile twitched. For obvious reasons, he had serious reservations about hitting women regardless of the reason. But female villains definitely existed, namely a messy-haired, hemophiliac blonde with a psychopathic crush on him, and he had to be ready to body slam them into the ground when necessary. Thanks. Good to know. After shaking his head and slapping himself a couple of times, Izuku focused. The 4 of them were ushered to an area separated from the other groups by a drone, and they stopped at what appeared to be a house. Apparently it was meant to look run down and it was presented as such very convincingly, courtesy of Smentos' quirk of cement manipulation. I guess we start now. The buzzer gave a deafening blare. Yup. Jirou stepped up with her fists within striking range, lashing out with a well-practiced 1-2 aim for Ida's nose and chin. Ida managed to sway back out of reach and lashed out with a longer-reaching kick of his own, but Uraraka tackled his pivot leg, her full body weight knocking him off balance and the kick whooshing through the air. Before he could be wrestled to the ground, Ida grabbed her by the shoulders and placing his foot in her stomach, tossing her over his head through a door. I'll take her, you got this over here. Yeah, just stay out of her grappling reach and power through. Noted. Izuku rolled his shoulders back several times before raising his hands in front of himself at eye level. The least he could do was avoid the face and strike without a closed fist as much as possible. Bouncing on the balls of her feet, Jirou stepped forward again with jabs which he redirected while returning jabs of his own with the base of his palm but frowned in discomfort. A kick landed on his thigh. It definitely caused pain, but not enough to make him stumble. Ducking under a jab-hook combination, Izuku returned fire with shots to the body, but only made contact with her knee that rose up to his face, making him step back. This made Jirou's lips curve into a vicious smile as she charged forward, but her face was contorted in pain as a powerful push kick blasted her off her feet and into a table. God damn it. Izuku pressed his palms together as he silently mouthed an apology. A reply came in the form of a broken table being flung at his face which he caught in time before seeing a flying knee headed straight for his face. Instinctively grabbing her and turning his head away from the knee, he swung her around and tossed into a wall. Quickly recovering, Jirou unleashed a flurry of punches, including the 9-punch combo from boxing with several middle and low kicks mixed into it, but Izuku dodged without much problem. He taught her the basics, after all. But she was absorbing it well, making it her own. Her hands were kept up, guarding the head area. Every punch and kick, sans the jab and push kick, had rotational power added to it, and they were kept sharp, compact. But she still lacked stamina. After the long barrages, the speed in her attacks began to deteriorate. A harmless right whistled past Izuku's ear as he bobbed his head to the left. Grabbing Jirou's arm, he yanked hard, pulling her off balance towards him. With a step in and a pivot, he rammed a palm strike in the trajectory of a hook into her temple, followed by knee kicks to the gut and a downward elbow strike to the back. Gently pushing her away, Izuku followed through with a middle kick, knocking her down into the ground. The cafeteria, lunch rush's eatery, was packed with students from the other courses as usual, but Jirou had managed to snag a table for her partners for the exercise. Seeing Ida and Izuku, she waved them over. Izuku sat down next to her while Ida took the seat across from them. Ah, food always tastes good after getting the applied quadratic functions smacked out of your head. She sighed as she took a sip of the broth from her bowl of ramen. I never thought I'd see the day where a kick would actually launch someone through the air and into the wall without a quirk. I did practice that a lot, Ida said matter-of-factly as he scooped a spoonful of curry into his mouth. Without using my quirk. Plus he's bigger and heavier than I am, Izuku added as he sat down. I wasn't exactly in a position where I can dodge that one either. Well, like Mr. Aizawa says, villains don't fight fair. Jirou shrugged. You. Ida and Uraraka triple-teamed me without warning. What about me? Uraraka said as she set her tray of food down at the cafeteria. Oh, nothing. We were just discussing the training exercise. But, exactly Jirou's point, Midoriya. If we were villains, we'd have you dead to rights, which is exactly what we are trying to learn how to avoid. Fine, point taken. But still, I need to make adjustments to this half-baked excuse of a style that I'm developing. Maybe I'll ask Mr. Aizawa for advice. He mixes everything that works, particularly silhouette with and without the sarong, which he substitutes with his capture weapon. That and jujitsu, Wing Chun, boxing, karate, but I need just one, something that's all-purpose, something efficient. Should I ask him for lessons in silhouette? Oh, but he does have other stuff to do that are important, but he is a teacher, so it makes me well within my right to ask. Deku, you're mumbling again. Uraraka tapped him on the shoulder to snap him out of his almost trance-like storm of mumbles. Sorry. I am working on developing shoot style, and basing it on existing styles of fighting has worked, but it's frustrating since I never really had any sort of formal training in that regard. Not like Ida or Todoroki or Ojiro or Yaoyorozu. And I'm in need of a breakthrough of some kind. Oh, you'll come up with something, Deku. Uraraka said with an encouraging smile. You always have in the end when it needs to count. I could, show you some things. I do train in gunhead martial arts now, and I did manage to beat Ida during the 2-on-2. That was a fluke, Uraraka, and you know it. Ida grumbled indignantly, although he said it with a smile. I guess, GMA uses a lot of joint manipulation to overcome size and weapon advantage. I'd probably need that. But, are you sure? Yeah, of course. Friends, help each other. Right, friends. That word made Uraraka slightly wince like a papercut would. So, when would be good for you? I have some plans today, but after that I can go whenever. Great. We can do this tomorrow or during the weekend then. Sounds good. Thanks. I have some material that I have to help Mr. Aizawa prep for the class, so I'll head on out first. Don't be late for class. We won't, don't worry. With a wave, Ida left, leaving Izuku with the two girls. They continued to eat, but in silence. Well then, Jirou broke the silence after finishing off the broth with a satisfied look. Word around the dorm is that there's some speculation going on about me and Midoriya. Why's that? Izuku came very close to choking on his bite of lunch. Guzzling the glass of water, he took a breath and looked at Jirou in disbelief. Why what? Waha. Well, it just got brought up when you two came back from whatever it was you were doing. We were asked for some help from Mr. Aizawa and it just took longer than we thought it would, that's all. Besides, you think anything like that could happen under his supervision? I guess not, In an effort to hide her discomfort and obviously perturbed state, she began wolfing down her lunch with gusto. I'll see you guys in class, I just remembered something that I have to do, bye. Uraraka sped off, nearly sending the tray flying off as she caught herself before she tripped and fell. Okay, Kyuka, what the heck did you bring that up for? What happened to keeping this under wraps? That's exactly why I brought it up. We dash the rumors now, we avoid having wild imaginations expanding out of control in school, at least temporarily. Makes sense. Yeah, now it does, sorry. It's okay. Jirou smiled, squeezing Izuku's hand under the table. That does make sense, but what you did last night didn't. At all. It went against everything we just said we weren't going to do. That was, well, Jirou chewed on her lower lip, unsure of how to answer. Was a little horny, to be honest. She whispered apologetically. Why, look, you were good at it, okay. And not that I had a frame of reference before or anything, but, you knew what to do, and, hit all the right spots. Attentively. Thank you I guess. Izuku wasn't really sure how to respond to that except offer a lame word of gratitude for the compliment. Plus, I'm still trying to get used to, boundaries. I was mostly absorbed in my music until I decided to come here, so. That's perfectly fine. I'm also not used to affection from other people. In general, I was, well, a late bloomer in terms of my quirk. And being quirkless automatically turned me into a pitiful freak of nature, basically. My mind just feels like, hearing anything else, anything positive is, well, wrong. So I'm sorry if I seem, too clingy or needy, or something like that. If that happens, just tell me and I'll stop. No, you don't have to apologize for that. I won't press for details about your past, but just know that you have at least one other person that cares about you aside from family. And, I'll give you all the affection that you missed out on and rightfully deserve. When nobody's looking, of course. Izuku couldn't help but laugh a little at that, and it took quite an amount of willpower to not just kiss her right there in front of everyone, but suppressed that urge and only squeezed her hand back in return. Thank you. Let's go to class, we have less than 10 minutes. We're still good for after school, right? Yeah. Half an hour into their sparring, Jirou finally landed 2 clean shots to the side and solar plexus strong enough to bring Izuku down to his knees. Gotcha. Finally. Oh wow, that hurt a lot worse than I thought. Breathing slowly, Izuku stood up. Nice shot. I had a good advisor. Well, now you just need to be able to do that with anyone. Until they're out cold, yeah. I could say the same for you. Jirou said with a reproving look as she handed him his bottle of water. Izuku furrowed his brows as he took a swig, not entirely clear on what she was implying. Using a closed fist. Oh. You noticed that? Look, I know you meant well, and having a good heart is what made me like you in the first place. But don't try to act all gentlemanly when someone is actively trying to cause harm to you. Or to anyone. That's a luxury if anything else. One that can be rarely afforded, if at all. I'm working on it. You wanted to do sticks next, right? Yeah, you're actually getting better at it, believe it or not. I'm not smacking you every 5 times I change up the pace. Right, like you don't enjoy smacking guys around with a stick given the opportunity. Only those who deserve it. Jirou replied with a shrug and tossed a pair of baston to Izuku as she chuckled. Right, should I apologize now? Nah, later we'll be fine. Taking their stances, they began the drills, starting with 2 counts, each strike alternating between high and low points, switching up their lead hand every so often. The key, which Izuku found out through many slaps with the stick on various parts of his body, was not to look at the opponent's hand directly, but through peripheral vision. More often than not her eyes slightly glide towards the direction she was going to attack, and it was only a matter of reacting to it in time with proper technique. The hard, rhythmical clacking of wood against wood echoed through the training room, accelerating, decelerating, and the rhythm itself changing every so often. And Izuku could hear it. He could feel it as the echoes reverberated with each strike, see it even, like a musician could read sheet music. The sounds were now turning into one long beat, stretching on and on. Dude, you're spacing out. Huh. Izuku looked down to see Jirou on her back, pinned down by his knee. Both bastions were gone while Izuku had one left, an inch from her face. Sorry. I focused, too much, I think. Did I, I didn't hurt you, right? Did I? Nothing that'll leave a mark. That was amazing. You did a kick-ass disarm. Twice. Now help me up. Your knee's low-key hurting me. Sorry. Standing up, he offered her a hand, which she took and stood up partially, only to pull Izuku down and wrap her legs around his neck into a triangle chokehold. Gotcha, nerd. Though she did not put too much pressure into the choke, it was enough to cause discomfort to make him tap out. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Who's childish now? But I did let my guard down. Let's go back. Yeah. Today was a good day. We're doing guitar after dinner though. I know, I haven't forgotten. Putting the equipment back, they gathered their belongings and left. Jirou mused as she looked at the notifications on her phone. What was that, for? Oh, nothing. I just got a text from Yaomomo. Seeing them getting ready to leave, Uraraka hurried off, clenching her fist at the fabric of her shirt around the chest area. Okay, Yaomomo. I'm here. What did you want to talk about? Jirou spread her hands open in Yaoyorozu's room that was cramped up with a 4-poster bed. And a bookshelf of encyclopedias. Well, I have something that I wish to ask you. Something that's been bothering me slightly. Of course, you are well within your right to not answer, but I couldn't really think of any other way to do this. Okay, ask me what? About your relationship with Midoriya. Oh, and this has been bothering you, why and how? I'm not entirely sure myself, truth be told. But whether you answer or not, and whatever answer you choose to give me, you have my word that this conversation will not leave this room under any circumstance. Alright, what did you wanna ask about me and him? Are the speculations from last night true? In any capacity? At all? And there it was. Yaoyorozu covered her mouth, exhaling slowly as she stared at her friend, nervous but patiently waiting for an answer. She wasn't sure what to expect or what answer she even wanted in the first place. I'm only going to tell this to you because you're my friend that I know I can trust to have my back. And I'm going to hold you to your word. Yes, of course. Yeah, I'm dating Izuku. Since the day before yesterday. Oh, well, I guess, congratulations are in order. Thanks. Does anyone else know, by any chance, about you two? Yeah, 2 other people. Kirishima and Ashido. But Izuku and I have already talked to them to keep their mouth shut, and so far, they've kept their word. And I will do the same, as I have stated. I have several reasons that I don't want this known. One is simply because it's a hassle to answer all the questions that are definitely going to come our way and I don't need that shitstorm coming my way. Or his. And the other, is Uraraka. Jirou sat down on the bed, running her hands through her head repeatedly. She doesn't exactly make it hard to discern that she has some form of feelings towards him. Although whether it is romantic or admiration and respect of the platonic variant mistaken as love is anyone's guess. Which is exactly why I'm trying to keep a low profile. I've known Izuku officially for a little over a week now, and within that week, I've confessed to him, I've kissed him, and I've pretty much stolen him from under her nose. And I feel like an Omega level backstabbing bitch for doing that. I do see your point, but why should you feel guilty? It's not as if Midoriya is a piece of property. Nobody can really stake a claim on him, as it were. Plus, while I may be inexperienced in romantic relationships, I'm pretty sure a romantic relationship isn't something you can pencil into your life schedule and make it happen in the first place. Yeah, I see your point, but still, I basically got together with someone I know my friend has a crush on, and that makes it pretty awkward. For both Izuku and me. I haven't told him about how Uraraka feels about him obviously, but if he finds out, I will bet you anything that he is going to absolutely lose his shit. Given his disposition, highly likely. But you do know that keeping silent is. Yeah. I'm prolonging the inevitable and making it worse, I know that. I just need some time to prepare myself. I mean, I've changed everything for the class. We had a good thing going in 1A and I can't help but feel like I've messed with something that I shouldn't have. Well, it indeed will facilitate quite a shift in the class ambience undoubtedly, but I don't see how it could be bad. What makes you say that? Well, now that I've satisfied myself on the truth of the romantic speculation concerning you and Midoriya, I feel a little relieved. I do still have friends from Horotuma that I keep in touch with, but the people in 1A are people that I can interact with without having them take a step back due to my background and family status. It made me feel like a regular person and not a prissy rich girl for a change. Especially you. You didn't care about any of it and, well, we've survived several major conflicts together and I felt a little left out, I guess. In some ways, it felt like Midoriya was stealing you from me as well. AAAWWW, were you jealous of Izuku? About little old me. Jirou smirked. Oh Yaomomo, you adorable rich girl. This is why I love you. Why excuse you. I'm being serious. She folded her arms over her ample bust indignantly. You do realize I'm pouring my heart out. I know, I'm sorry, it's just kind of funny imagining you all pouty like that. But really, thanks for telling me all this. And I swear, if you feel so left out, we can share him. If you want to, that is. Kyoka Jirou, how dare you insinuate such an idea? Yaoyorozu exclaimed in disbelief at the idea with a shade of scarlet rising in her face. I'm kidding, Jesus. Jirou giggled. Regaining her composure, she continued, but in all seriousness, thank you for your honesty. I am happy for you. Truly. And for him. Just, do tell him to make you happy, whatever that may mean, or he will have to answer to me. Pretty sure you're scarier than my dad since you can create a mortar launcher, so I'll definitely pass it on. Thanks, Yaomomo. You're the best. Jirou embraced her friend in a fiercely tight hug which she returned with as much ferocity. And please do not hesitate to come to me if there is anything further you would like to discuss. As long as it doesn't involve romantic relationships though, since I am anything but experienced in that field. During the same time, Uraraka had stopped on the second floor, pacing back and forth across the hallway of the boys' rooms. She saw them. Training. But it was more than that. It felt like more than that. The way that Izuku looked at Jirou, the way she looked back at him, the banter they were having as they trained, it was different. Different than anything that she ever had with the green-haired boy. But why was it bothering her so much? What made her chest sting and not go away no matter how much she rubbed at it? Ashido had insinuated it once, quite bluntly, that it was love. Love. Not a glove, a dove or a shove. Love. Was it? Was it really? But she had vowed to put those feelings away in a box, compartmentalize it until later. Until she had grown as a person, and hopefully as a pro hero. She tore at her hair in frustration and confusion. Uraraka. Ha. Oh. Hey, Tokiyami. It's painfully obvious that you are distressed about something, but would you be so kind as to not pace around our hallway? It's quite distracting. Oh. Right. So sorry about that. Can I ask you something? Yes. Do you know, if, Deku and, her throat began closing up again. No. Don't imagine it. Don't jinx it, her mind blared a warning. Don't say it. If, sorry, never mind. I'll get out of your hair. Sorry for the bother. Tokiyami looked on in silence as his former cavalry battle teammate rushed off to the elevator. Dark Shadow. Yeah, I do believe it's time that I have a talk with Midoriya. Alright, I said Dark Shadow. As in me and me alone. Keep your mouth shut, for the sake of our classmates' mental well-being. Tokiyami took a breath and steeled himself, remembering a quote from a book titled Hagakure, the Book of the Samurai. In the words of the ancients, one should make his decisions within the space of 7 breaths. If discrimination is long, it will spoil. When matters are done leisurely, 7 out of 10 will turn out badly. Just as Izuku opened his door to leave for his music lesson with Jirou, Tokiyami stepped into his view. Midoriya, may I have a moment of your time? Sure. Yeah. Something wrong. If you want pointers about different applications of Dark Shadow, I can. I appreciate it, but the reason I'm here is not because of that. It's more a personal matter. Pertaining to you. To me. How? I would prefer to tell you in private. Okay, then. Izuku stepped back and let Tokiyami enter. So. I know about you and Jirou. Why, Wait, what? I said I know that you and Jirou are in a relationship. Although it was by coincidence that I stumbled upon your lustful revelry in the dark. In the common room. With her. At that moment, Izuku wanted nothing more than to defenestrate himself down to the ground level from the window as he covered his face and turned around in shame, groaning. You saw that? Really? Yes, as did Kuda. I'm gonna go jump off the roof now, if you don't mind. Tokiyami stopped Izuku's advance as he placed a firm hand on his shoulder. Rest assured, your secret is safe with me, as it is with Kuda whom I have sworn into secrecy. He would never betray Jirou's trust. Wait, Kuda knows too. Tokiyami only nodded. Izuku made a strong mental note to himself to really keep the urge for displaying affection in check in the future. The silver lining was that the people who know are people that both he and Jirou knew could keep their mouth shut. We ran into each other on the elevator going down, so yes. Okay, so, what about it? If you're telling me to be more careful, we have been. I assumed as much. But you are sidetracking me. The problem isn't you or Jirou. It's Uraraka. Uraraka. Why and how? A little while before you came back, she was pacing back and forth in this very hallway. And she was about to ask me about you and your relationship status. I am not at liberty to divulge details that you ought to hear from her, but it's come to my attention that her nerves have been quite clearly and thoroughly rattled due to last night's speculations. Although you don't seem to pay much mind to it, I figured you should be notified of the existence of this problem at the very least. That's all. Oh, all right, thanks. Both left the room in silence. Tokiyami returned to his room while Izuku trotted up the stairs to the next floor and knocked on Jirou's door, who took his hand and gently pulled him inside, welcoming him with a warm embrace and a kiss. Hey, so. Yaomomo knows about us now. She asked me straight up, and I didn't want to lie. Not to her. It's okay. We did talk about this and if anyone can be prudent, it's her. Izuku gave her a reassuring hug as he nuzzled her ear. But, that's exactly a fourth of the entire class that knows about us. A fourth. Wait, time out. Who else knows? Tokiyami. And Kuda. Apparently they saw us. What the, how? Saw us where? Wait, did they? Oh. Fuck me sideways. They saw that. Yeah, they are. You horny, stupid, reckless, short-sighted. Jirou promptly grabbed the pillow on her bed and began beating Izuku over the head with it. Ow. Hey, ow. Stop. This isn't my fault. Okay, it kinda is ow. But not completely. Blocking the strikes from the pillow, he grabbed it and twisted it out of her hands as he held Jirou close, burying her face in his chest. Besides, do you really want me to apologize for admitting I love you? No. Jirou muffled as she held her boyfriend closer. Patting her on the back, he ran his fingers through her hair with the other. The faint scent of chocolate wafted in the air and Izuku hungrily drank it in. They exchanged a few pecks and nuzzled each other's necks before they separated and sat down on the bed. But still, I know. But we actually might have more pressing matters than just more people finding out about us, Uraraka. Oh, you finally caught on to that. Jirou scoffed as she traced his fingers across his chest. Tokiyami told me that she asked him about me and my relationship status. Not really sure why though. Wait, what? She stared at Izuku in disbelief. He couldn't be serious. The answer was literally staring him right in the face. There is a girl asking if you're single or not. What do you think she's getting all antsy for? She's worried about me getting distracted from becoming a hero. Jirou was getting a headache. This couldn't be happening. The greatest analytical genius in Class 1A couldn't be this dull. I mean, yeah, I've been pretty reckless to say the least because of my quirk and everything else, but isn't she worrying a little too much? I haven't been skipping out on training at all. Oh my fucking god, you're serious. Ugh. Jirou slapped a hand over her forehead and sighed heavily. Well, can't exactly blame you, but, damn. What? I mean, am I wrong? Is that not it? No, dumbass. It's not. Sorry, I didn't mean to shout. Really. Do I need to spell this out? Well, you did assess my answer as belonging to a dumbass, so, if you could please. Without shouting, preferably, Izuku asked with a nervous chuckle. No, I can't. Can't or won't. Both. It's something that she should tell her yourself to your face. It's meant to be that way and only that way. But enough of that for now. Let's just focus on something more fun, yeah. She kissed Izuku on his nose, which elicited a kiss being returned on her lips. Sure, playing a guitar was a lot harder than Jirou made it seem. Never mind keeping track of the finger positions for the chords, strumming patterns and memorizing terminology, but reading sheet music and tabs was like trying to decipher another language, and it utterly boggled Izuku's mind. Thankfully, his girlfriend was a patient teacher, aware of the ligament damage in his arms as well as his thoroughly neophyte status, reiterating parts as much as necessary, letting him take notes. She even managed to get a laugh out of watching the faces he made when he strained his fingers and when the guitar pick kept falling into the sound hole with the acoustic guitar. Progress was slow, even with kisses of encouragement on his sore fingers, but it was progress nonetheless, and Izuku could at least now play a horse with no name, albeit with some difficulty. See, there you go. Told you you've got some musical talent somewhere in there. I have a good teacher who smells and tastes like chocolate. That makes it difficult to not work hard. Oh really? Jirou leered as she set her guitar down on the stand and sliding into Izuku's lap. And why is that, pray tell? I think you know why. Oh, I know, Jirou whispered as she nipped and licked Izuku's ear. I wanna hear you say it. IHNNNGH. Her teeth slowly dug into his neck and her hot breath made him shudder. Say it, Kamoon. Or my tongue's gonna go places. For every song I can play right, I get to spend a night holding you until morning. Holding me. Oh, come on, we do far more than just taha. Her words were interrupted by Izuku's fingertips tracing the small of her back and the massaging the inside of her thigh. Now you're just being a bully. Again and again their lips touched, nothing more than light touches on the skin and lips like the tips of fine paintbrushes. No wonder lovers around the world love kissing. It was so damn addictive. Don't you like it though? When I'm doing it, not telling you. Jirou huffed as she nipped Izuku's upper lip and ruffled his hair. Now who's being the bully here? Still you. You keep wearing really short pants and baggy shirts to aggravate me. Even today she was wearing short pants that only went down to the midsection of her thighs and a loosely hanging shirt that revealed her collar line. And when Izuku hugged her, there was no bra line underneath. I don't hear you complaining. I'm not. Just stating a fact. Izuku's eyes flicked down to Jirou's toned legs momentarily before catching her lips with his. The fact that I'm irresistible. Instead of an answer, she found her tongue gently sliding into her mouth, gently licking the roof of her mouth behind her front teeth. She felt Izuku stand up with his arms around her waist momentarily before being placed on top of her desk. Wouldn't be doing this if that weren't the case, Kyoka. Izuku breathed, as he massaged the inside of her thighs harder, the tip of his tongue now inserted in her ear. Just as things were getting heated, however, the timer on Jirou's phone went off as a Beethoven symphony played, making the device vibrate. As they separated, she licked up the silver bridge of saliva that formed between their lips. Guess that's all for tonight. Jirou muttered with a thoroughly miffed glare at the phone as she slid off his lap to silence it. I'm going to have a hard time sleeping. You and me both. I do have some good news though. Yeah, you finally figure out why Uraraka is antsy. No, it's about our date that I'm planning for this weekend. Oh really? Jirou's ears perked up at that as she raised an eyebrow in intrigue. How thoughtful. Don't tell me about what we're doing though. Not until the weekend. Don't you want to know? I like being surprised. You just want to raise the bar higher. Izuku sighed, his arms folded over his chest. Real mature of you. Love you too. Jirou said with a smirk before grabbing him by the collar and crashing her lips onto his one last time before gently shoving him out of her room, with much reluctance. She flopped down onto the bed as she rubbed her knees together, sighing in frustration. Her panties most definitely were stained. Damn my teenage hormones. Honestly, she wanted nothing more than have him pull her shirt off, kiss and touch everywhere and cover her body in love bites again. Hell, if the bulge poking at her from below that was impossible to not notice were any indication, it was obvious Izuku wanted to do exactly the same as well. Even more than that, perhaps. It was a dubious proposition at best that either one of them or both would be against the idea to just have sex that night, then and there. But they had to act discreet if they wanted to be discreet, which meant dialing down the level of physical intimacy, or walking up to the edge but not cross it. Not entirely, at least. This was only day 3 of being in a relationship for the first time ever, after all. The bare minimum wait plan was another week. This is gonna be a long fucking wait. Her only hope was that either one of them would impress the other into happiness and joy of new heights, without the influence of physical intimacy, that they would just decide to do the dirty deed on that day. But she couldn't bring herself to be in high spirits in good conscience. In all honesty, talking to Uraraka was the last thing she wanted to do. But she was going to have to. For Izuku and for herself. Like her ponytailed friend had said, she hadn't done anything inherently wrong like stealing someone's boyfriend. It wasn't something that she planned to happen either. That being said though, she had been trying to avoid telling Uraraka about this, neglecting to ask her if it would cause any problems. That was entirely on her. Between Izuku and her, Jirou felt like the bigger dumbass in hindsight. A horny, reckless, stupid, and short-sighted one. She had asked him out, she kissed him and she let him cross that threshold of physical intimacy. Aside from the simple and direct approach, there was no other way. Oh goddammit. A text message interrupted her brooding. Do you have a moment? It was Tokiyami. Yee. Is this about me and Izuku? I see he's told you. Technically yes, since you are at the epicenter of this issue, but it's about Uraraka. She was pacing across the hallway of my floor, where Midoriya lives as well. Yeah, he told me about that. Problem is, he doesn't know about Uraraka's interest, I guess, in him. I see. Quite ironic how he can be so analytical and perceptive yet so blind to certain things. IKR. You didn't tell him, did you? Dude, no. You're not talking to Jamming Ye. I know when to keep my mouth shut. And how to filter thought to voice. Just checking. I don't mean to offend you. No worries. But I do need to ask you a favor. For Izuku. What does it involve? Uraraka's going to be giving pointers about GMA-style grappling to Izuku, and I was wondering if you could be the male +1. You need work on close quarters, without using DS, don't you? Who will be the female +1? Yaomomo. Obviously. Wise choice for a mediator. Would you mind if I bring my own +1? Let me guess, Kirishima. Todoroki. Why him? He isn't exactly the type that would have an emotional investment in romantic relationships that do not directly involve him or his family. You two have full support from people like Kirishima and Ashido. Pulling them in would most likely end up with Uraraka feeling vilified. We need at least one impartial and level-headed man to placate her. Well, he certainly fits the bill for being a cool customer. Sure, bring him if you can manage. I will do what I can. That being said, I do require some recompense for my time. Within the bounds of good taste and reason, of course. Duh, that's what asking for a favor implies. What do you want? Apple pie. Jirou stared at the two words in disbelief for a few seconds. Really? That's it? Yes. One whole pie, preferably with cinnamon. Dark Shadow has a craving and he won't shut up about it, and now I want some. Bring it at your convenience, but the sooner the better. You got a deal, cinnamon apple pie it is. Thanks. You are most welcome. And please do right by Midoriya, whatever that may mean. Of course. Ending the conversation, Jirou immediately began texting Yaoyorozu. No more hiding, no more bullshit. She had to talk to Uraraka and put an end to this. It was time to take the proverbial pin out of this problem. Like her song Saving My Hero said, always forward. It was about time she practiced what she preached. Izuku stood outside the 4th floor of the girls' dorm. Despite having stepped into a girl's room and spent the night there quite recently, he was scared. Part of him was telling him to get back down to his room on the 2nd floor, get some extra calisthenics in, finish up the assignments and go to sleep. On the other hand, Tokiyami and Jirou's words were bugging him, more than he thought. Uraraka was a friend, one of his first real friends that graced him with her presence since the entrance exam to UA, someone who welcomed his friendship, his trust, with open arms. She was essential in the first indoor mock battle, facilitator of the Copernican revolution to the meaning of Deku, his codename as a hero. A Samaritan with a pure heart of platinum that volunteered to become his teammate during the Cavalry War despite the detriments being the 10 million point holder brought down, a possessor of tenacity and true grit when she faced off against Bakugo, without Izuku's tactical advice, a virtuous girl who aspired to be a hero to support her family. She was an amazing person, and there was nothing anybody could do to change Izuku's opinion about her. Then why was she so worried and interested in the goings-on of him? Uraraka has a big heart and would show concern to many and any, but why specifically him? He wasn't the only male friend she had. There was Ida too, and they get along just fine, without any prying happening. Then what was all this? Tokiyami and Jirou refused to tell anything, leaving Izuku with only one option, finding out for himself by asking her directly why. Still, his foot remained rooted in the linoleum floor. It didn't feel right. They said she was rattled. Nervous. It would be rather uncouth to force something out of her. She'd tell him when she was ready. Aside from the secret of one for all, they talk frequently. But would that be wishful thinking? He didn't know. He simply had no clue. Bracing himself, Izuku took a step. Then another, and another, until he was arm's reach away from Uraraka's door. Taking a breath, he raised a hand and was about to knock. Watch her do in midair, until a certain alien queen stopped his hand frozen in midair. Oh, hey, please don't ever do that again. His heart almost came out of his mouth. I just had something to ask her. Uraraka, I mean. Ooh. With each progressing, Ashido realized what that something might be. Well, I caught you at the worst moment, didn't I? Yeah, kinda. I'm really sorry about that. It's no offense, but let's face it, you're not exactly the go-getter type in these kinds of things. I know, but it is bothering me, but I can't exactly have someone ask in my place either. Hey, at least you're being sensible. That's good. Listen, I can go with you. If you want me to. Sure. I appreciate the gesture, but why? What's your stake in all this? Look, before the end of term finals, I kinda brought up romantic relationships. And I might have mentioned you and Ida. Ashido's usually vibrant and bouncy attitude was replaced with a look of utter discomfort and guilt. It's been a hang-up for her ever since, so I kinda sorta vaguely feel responsible for it. Wait, why I'm what? You what? So you're saying that she has a crush on me. Pinching the bridge of his nose, Izuku headed for the stairs. How could he have been so blind? He had seen certain signs, though he wasn't sure that they were even signs at all in the first place. Her swatting motions with a red face after her bout with the Space Hero 13 and running off at the Kiashi Ward shopping mall, it was all rapidly coming together. I need to do some push-ups now. That and squats ought to do him some good to clear his mind from this convoluted clusterfuck called life. Then he needed to message Jirou that he finally knows. Classes had just ended, and as promised, Izuku was going to training room theater with Uraraka, along with some company. Are you sure you want to do this today? I mean, I said I can wait and you can take all the time you need. I appreciate the sentiment, but this isn't something I can weasel out of. The more I wait, the worse the backlash is going to be and the rift between us and Uraraka will get bigger to the point where it's irreparable. It's not right or fair. To you or her. You guys have known each other since before life at UA began, and I don't want to screw that up, for any reason. So if she does something, just let it happen. Okay. Izuku gave her light tap and squeeze on the shoulder but said nothing more. Questioning her resolve any further would only be an insult. I don't know what to expect, but I will step in if I have to though, just so you know. Thanks. I'll be there in 15 minutes to half an hour. With Izuku, Yaoyorozu, Tokiyami and Todoroki left the classroom. Jirou on the other hand felt even more nervous than when she had to first perform at the culture festival. Pulling her phone out, she dialed her mother for comfort as well as one last booster for morale. Hey mom. Hi, Kyo. She could just see her mother sporting a knowing smile about what she was calling for. So, what's the latest scoop on your crush? Or potential significant other to be? He's not a crush. Not anymore. Jirou mumbled. We're together now. Officially. He asked you to marry him. Already. Wah no. Damn it mom. No, not like that. Not that kind of officially. We're high school freshmen, for crying out loud. Oh. I know. Let a mother have her fun teasing her only child. But honey, that's wonderful news. Congratulations. Thanks. But it's not all peaches and cream though. In the heat of excitement, I kinda forgot to tell you that there's someone else in class that has a crush on him and I didn't inform her of my intentions. Mika sucked in a sharp breath as she winced. Ooh. That's goodness. That's not good. And how long has it been since you two have gotten together? Today makes day 4. That's not that bad. From my experience, it gets worse once you get past the 1-week benchmark. For you. So, are you going to tell this girl that's crushing on your boyfriend about this? Yeah, today. With help from a few other people that know about us and are keeping quiet. Is that what the apple pie you asked for was? Compensation for their time, yeah. Sooner the better. I like to be a woman of my word. But aside from being honest, how am I going to do this? What can I possibly say? Kyoka, it's your boyfriend and your friend. I can't exactly give you a script for this situation. Just make sure when you open your mouth, use your brain and your heart. And, well, if it doesn't go as well as planned, try not to dwell on it too much. What? Jirou stared at her phone in utter confusion. Not dwell on the fact that she stole a friend's crush behind her back. I don't follow. Look, your friend, this girl, has had a crush on your boyfriend for how long now? Weeks, months. Couple months and change, yeah. And yet she did nothing to act on it. They're in the same school, same class, undoubtedly with plenty of opportunities. But she did nothing. You did. But she had eyes on him first. I'm a runner-up at best. There is no such thing as calling dibs in romance, Kyo. Mika's voice grew firm. Anyone who thinks otherwise can have an amp dropped on their head. Whoa, there. Apparently the soft-spoken demeanor and outer appearance hid something far more frightening underneath, and Jirou shuddered at the thought of seeing it surface. Answer me 3 things. Do you like this boy? I wouldn't have told him that I did otherwise. Humor me and answer. Do you like this boy? Hell yes. The answer came out a lot louder and enthusiastic than she wanted, which she could tell from Mika giggling. Does he like you? Definitely. And would you let anyone get in between you two, tell you that you should quit while you're ahead? Probably not. Then there you have it. That's your answer. How long you've liked a person is irrelevant. If you like him, you tell him that, and if he likes you, the rest is history. That's all there is to it. Never forget that. The only wrong thing you did was confess to this boy behind her back. But other than that, you have absolutely nothing to be ashamed of. So, hold your head high and, go get him, Tigress. I will. She will get him and keep him. A surge of confidence stopped the nerves from rattling. Thanks, Mom. You're very welcome. Oh, and do make sure to bring him around our place at some point, okay? Mom. Not tomorrow, goodness. Just sometime in the future. Preferably sooner than later though. You know what? Just, no. Okay. Give me at least a month. Okay, fine. A month it is. Cutting the call off, Jirou jammed the phone into her bag and left the classroom. She had a boyfriend to contend for. Honestly, I wasn't expecting this many people. Uraraka said with an eyebrow cocked. But I guess the more the merrier, right? Indeed. Learning how to properly throw a punch without dark shadow will definitely be a necessary arsenal in absolute emergencies. Midoriya, are there any tips to apply proper technique consistently? Tokiyami showed Izuku his knuckles that were getting red. There were several beads of blood forming where the skin had broken as well. Well, I guess repetition helps. At least several hundred 1-2s per day, calisthenics for the muscles, lots of stretching, oh yeah, and also conditioning of the bones. The bones. Care to explain further? When you punch something with your bare fist, your knuckle bones fracture, right? They're called microfractures, and breaking it again and again over time hardens those parts. Broken Sword kicked trees to condition his shin bones, and he can literally take down a wall with a kick. Even if your quirk doesn't enhance physical abilities, you can destroy a cinder block at the very least. If you do it right, that is. And you have a high tolerance for pain. I said I need proficiency, but that is too high of a tier to aspire to. Well, if Dark Shadow knows how to fight like a boxer, it'll make double teaming a lot easier for you. I mean, he can punch through a wall. I will take it under consideration. Uraraka, Can you demonstrate that throw you used on Midoriya? I may need it. Yeah, sure. Come on over here and have a closer look. Deku, you ready? While Izuku, Tokiyami and Uraraka were comparing notes and demonstrating new moves, Todoroki and Yaoyorozu were simply sparring, although the latter was the one that was more out of breath. Todoroki, I'm honestly surprised you would be here for something like this. If it were anyone else, believe me, I wouldn't. But it's Midoriya, so I made an exception. I owe him, in a manner of speaking, but in ways more than I can ever express in words. I see. And this is just one of the many different ways you're repaying him. You could say that. I'm taking baby steps. You're here for Jirou, I'm guessing. Yes. We have known each other for a while, and I feel as a friend I owe it to her in my own way to see this through. You might want to get ready then. Todoroki merely jutted his chin out towards the entrance of training room theater. She's here. You might want to get closer if you were serious about support. Hey, Jirou. What brings you here? Izuku and Tokiyami quietly stepped back as Jirou walked up to Uraraka. There was nervousness in Jirou's eyes, but determination that overwhelmed that as well. I'm pretty sure you know why. Look, I owe you an apology. You might already know this, but Izuku and I are dating. As of 4 days ago. Uraraka's eyelids snapped down tightly as if she were trying to escape a lucid nightmare, taking deep, shuddering breaths to maintain composure. Figures, she muttered, her hands unconsciously clenching into fists. You told me there was nothing between you two. You told me it wasn't like that. Anger was rising in her trembling voice. Not anger for the sake of others, but a more selfish, darker one. There really wasn't anything between him and me back when I first went to him for advice. Stop it. Stop lying. Her voice began breaking as she began tearing at her hair. Stop lying. I don't expect you to believe me when I say this, but there really wasn't anything. Not then. But that changed, which made what I said at the time exactly what you say it is, a lie. It wasn't what I intended, but it still makes me a liar. For that, I am sorry. I also went behind your back about him and it took me until today to work up the courage to say this to your face. It was a chicken shit thing to do, and I'm sorry for that. I never meant to hurt you. Shut up, she screamed, her breathing now uneven as tears streamed down her cheeks uncontrollably. You lied to me. Whether you forgive me or not is up to you. I already said my piece. If you want to say something to me, I'm right here. Uraraka's response was a swing punch right into Jirou's jaw. Another one was about to strike her square on the nose, but Izuku stepped in and intercepted that fist, catching it into his palm. Enough, please. Deku. I won't pretend that I understand what you feel right now, Izuku spoke as he chose his words carefully. I don't, but be that as it may, I owe you an apology as well. For not noticing how you felt about me. No, it's not. You're one of the closest friends I've ever had the good fortune of knowing. Someone I respect and care about who's trying to be a pro hero not for lofty dreams like mine, but for specific people that you care about. Someone willing to give back to them everything they've given you and more so they can have the life that they deserve. And that person likes me. Romantically. And I carried on obliviously like a fucking idiot. I really am sorry that I've hurt you for God knows how long. Please, don't say. I was surprised that you felt that way about me just as much as I was honored though. Someone with such a kind, big heart likes me. Of all the people that would be worthy of your affections, it was me. I like you as well, Uraraka, I really do. Just not the way that you want me to. And this decision is something that both Kyoka and I made together. So if you really still have to hit someone, I'm right here. I won't dodge, I won't block. Just don't hurt her anymore. Please. Uraraka pulled her hand back as Izuku slowly loosened his grip. Her mouth opened, closed, opened again, and shut once more into a thin line. I hate you, she hissed before storming off. For a few seconds, nobody said a word, but Yaoyorozu soon bolted towards her friend that had been knocked off her feet. Are you alright? Yeah, she's got a strong arm. Jirou chuckled. Could I get some ice for this, Todoroki? Without a word, he materialized a slab of ice in his hand and tossed it to Izuku, who quickly caught it and wrapped it in a towel to press against the area that was struck. Izuku, thanks for letting me take that. At least the first one. I still feel bad for not stepping in for the first one. If you did that, it could have gotten worse. I'm lucky it was just one punch. She could have pummeled me if she wanted to. Yaomomo, everyone, I wanna thank you for being here for that. It made a lot more difference than if I was doing this one-on-one with her. Of course, Yaoyorozu nodded with a sad smile. Anything for a friend. Indeed. Tokiyami concurred with his arms folded across his chest. This may not be the best of beginnings to a relationship, but I am sure both she and you can recover from this. We'll give you some time alone. Todoroki said as he gave a light pat on Izuku's shoulder and quietly walked out. The other two followed suit. Silence fell as Izuku sat down in front of Jirou, his eyes cast to the ground. Kyoka, I am so sorry. For all of this. For not being better. If I had known earlier, about how Uraraka felt about me, if I had caught on earlier, this mess wouldn't have. No, it's okay. Touching his face, Jirou raised his chin up to meet his sorrowful gaze. It took you this long, you wouldn't have figured it out either way. Jirou chuckled. Besides, if anyone should be apologizing, it's me. I've more than likely wrecked your friendship with Uraraka now. One of your first friendships at UA. If not permanently, for an indeterminate amount of time. Izuku didn't know what else to say. Being unable to think of tactful words of comfort, he resorted to pulling her in for a tight hug, which she accepted, but she soon began sobbing into his shoulder, the guilt tearing through her heart as it caused far greater pain than her earphone jacks ever could. She cried, silently begging for forgiveness for causing the anger and grief, for betraying her friend like this. Izuku was fighting back tears as well, cursing his powerlessness in this situation and his lack of perception. A hero that saves those in need with a smile, that was what he aspired to become, someone like All Might. Yet the newest addition to the people he must keep free from grief-stricken tears was sobbing uncontrollably in his arms. He was an utterly useless, pathetic excuse of a hero. And it made him angry. Later that night, Izuku had an unbecoming and somewhat frightening dismal expression on his face as he headed out to the wooden post. He struck hard, harder than he had ever dared to with every part of his body, fists, elbows, shoulders, knees, shins, balls of the feet, and even his head. Anything would do. Anything that would dispel or at least dull the throbbing pain. Even when his arms were so sore he couldn't lift them, he kicked. When that was impossible due to fatigue, he headbutted. Within an hour, Izuku had exhausted himself as he lay face up in a puddle of his own sweat and tears. You can be pretty scary when you try, you know that. Todoroki commented as he looked down at Izuku. He was wearing an indigo-colored samu and sandals made of plant fiber. Huh. Oh. Hey, Todoroki. Thanks for being there back then. No need, I didn't do anything. Well, we asked and you came. It's the gesture and your goodwill that counts. Don't you have to be consoling Jirou? She wanted to be left alone for a while. I still can't believe that Uraraka punched her. You and me both. Todoroki nodded in agreement as he pulled Izuku to his feet. Asui's tending to her for now. Ashido as well. Needless to say, you do well to stay away from Uraraka for a few days at the very least. I know, that's the plan. Thanks for telling me though. But now, what the hell am I gonna do? I mean, it was a necessary step to continue this relationship with a more or less clear conscience, but it doesn't feel clear. Yeah. Best advice I can give you is try to move past it as best as you can. It'll take time, but you know. Baby steps. You ever hear the phrase, yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, and today is a gift, which is why they call it the present. Quote, dot. Todoroki, did you just give me advice in the form of a quote from Kung Fu Panda? Shut up. Izuku promptly began howling in laughter. Oh, my God. You. Ha 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 ha. Oh, this is. Oh, Jesus. First the hand crusher, and now this. Pop culture references. Todoroki, please, don't ever change. Oh, man. Oh, wow. Suddenly I feel a lot better. Todoroki scowled. You may be my friend, but I swear to God, if you tell anyone. I won't, don't worry. I probably needed that more than you think. I mean, hey, I like the songs in Frozen. Is that supposed to be a joke about my quirk? No, but, oh, Wow. Another burst of laughter from Izuku made Todoroki just shake his head and sigh as he turned around to take his leave. He was definitely going to cash in on the favor for today when he least expects it. But Todoroki couldn't help but smile to himself as he heard his friend shout a word of gratitude which he accepted as he raised a hand in response. He was able to make his friend in distress smile, just like All Might did, merely by being there. It was a step, albeit a small one, in the right direction for both his friend and himself. Izuku trudged up the stairs, bypassing his floor, Jirou's, Uraraka's and headed straight to the roof, ignoring his sore muscles' complaints. There she was, sitting on her own, guitar in hand, absent-mindedly plucking at the strings. I shouldn't have left you alone. No, it's fine. I'm okay. I just need to think. I beg to differ, Izuku said firmly as gently took the guitar from her and placed it inside the case next to her. You're making it significantly worse, and I'm not about to let you do this to yourself. Leaning in, he caught her lips with his. She wasn't as responsive as their first night together, but that was of little importance to him. This wasn't going to be a heated make-out session. He just needed Jirou to know that he was here, and that his respect and affection for her have not been diminished. Kissing her was the only physical proof Izuku could come up with. Pulling her up to her feet without breaking contact, he deepened the kiss, the tip of the tongue knocking on her teeth for permission to enter. She remained unresponsive for a while, but relented after a minute or so, moaning against his lips as he pulled her in closer, her toes now barely touching the ground. Pushing her up against the railing, Izuku's mouth traveled along her face, planting light kisses anywhere he could reach as he listened to the moans grow louder. Pressing his forehead against hers, Izuku muttered to her. I'm here for you, okay? Yeah, I got that. Phew. I feel better now, I guess. So you weren't okay before? No, I wasn't, Jirou admitted with a sigh, pressing her forehead against his chest. Thanks for that. God, I love you so much. You're welcome. And I love you too. Can we meet in your room? After you shower. Not that I minded the kissing, but the sweat felt disgusting. And you kinda smell. Right, sorry. Oh, and, one more thing. What? Would you be willing to go on a date with me this weekend? Jirou failed to stifle a laugh at that question. Just hurry up and go shower, dummy. I'll tell you later. She gave him a punch in the shoulder before sending him off. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.